Welcome back. Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin has returned to power for his new fifth term. Putin reportedly won more than 87% of the votes, which is the highest he has won in comparison to the 4 previous elections he has been involved in so far. The somewhat improbable number, touching 90%, is a sign that the Russian system is now fully autocratic. Putin's victory, which was inevitable, paves the way for him to now become the longest-serving Russian leader in more than 2 centuries. After the vote, Vladimir Putin said that among his priorities was the successful prosecution of the special military operation, the Russian term for its military attack against Ukraine, of course. Now, Western countries had already dismissed the election result as a sham, but following the verdict, countries like China, India and North Korea have congratulated Putin. Also, in a message, Prime Minister Modi said that he looked forward to strengthening New Delhi's time-tested special and privileged strategic partnership with Moscow. While discussing the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Prime Minister Modi also reiterated India's consistent position in favor of dialogue and diplomacy as the way forward. Let's also listen in to what Vladimir Putin had to say shortly after claiming victory.
Dear friends, thank you for your support. For me, this is more important than formal victories in elections. This is support for the political and economic course of our country, our common results, which, of course, should be greater, but even now they already make Russia even stronger and more independent. A few words about the work of election commissions at all levels. As always, you acted efficiently, competently, on the principles of openness and in strict accordance with the law. And on our historical territories, members of the election commissions were an example for voters, showing courage and bravery. The elections have shown that Russia today is one big friendly family. We walk together on the historical path chosen by us, confident in ourselves, in our strengths and in our future. Thank you.
So even though this is a new term for Vladimir Putin, the challenges are old. Where is Russia now headed? Let's try and get in a sense of perspective. And for that, I'm joined in by senior journalist Fred Ware, who's joining me live from Moscow at this hour. Thank you, Fred, for joining in. To begin with, I, of course, want to know the impact of this election on some crucial factors on Russia as far as the war is concerned, not to forget the economy, especially in the faces of bruising Western sanction and inflation.
Things. Even the war now especially seems to be going Russia's way, and that won't be a big problem for Putin. It probably wouldn't have been even if one of the anti-war candidates were on the ballot. They would get maybe 10% of the vote, but that wasn't allowed this time, and that needs to be underscored that whatever democratic choice there had been in the past has been squeezed out of the system. As for the economy, it's growing. I know people debate the effect of sanctions on the Russian economy, and it is the most intense barrage of sanctions ever leveled against a country in all of history. It's quite something. The numbers of different sanctions that have been imposed and secondary sanctions on countries that deal with Russia and all that. Even so, when I go to do my weekly shopping in the hypermarket near me, it costs maybe 20% more than it did before the war, but the whole basket of goods that I used to buy is still there, still priced not excessively high. Some of the brand names have changed, like Western brand names have disappeared, but there's new Russian goods from Iran, goods from India, from China that weren't on the shelves before. And they're just as good.
All right, Fred, those are some interesting points that you just shared, but also many observers expect President Putin to now toughen his course and escalate the war after this re-election, which could include launching another round of mobilizing reservists. How will Russia's current policies be affected after now that Vladimir Putin has entered his new fifth term?
There's no doubt that the war will escalate. In any case, there is. I hope the war is coming to some kind of an end, as dismal as it may be. But Russia has really come to a war footing in every sense, and another mobilization may be possible. People talk about it. It has to be said that the Kremlin denies it, that there will be another mobilization, but they denied it before the first mobilization. So. But the war will escalate, that's for sure. And Russia is bent on victory. But beyond that, Putin's electoral program, such as we can infer from his statements, is about stepping up social projects, increasing social spending, building infrastructure, investing in human capital. It's not a wartime type of political program that he put forward for this election.
All right. Thank you, Fred, for joining in on World 360 with those precious insights. Thoroughly appreciate. And that brings me to the end of this edition of World 360. Thank you so much for watching. News and updates continue on CNN News 18. Stay tuned.